So in the main event of UFC 239, Jon Jones and Thiago Santos fought to a split decision where Jon Jones won 48-47, 48-47, 47-48. As far as what I think about that scorecard, I don't understand how anyone could have had that fight for Thiago Santos. I think anyone who did score that fight for Thiago Santos needs to go into a Muay Thai gym tomorrow, because I'm assuming there aren't any open right now, but go into one as soon as possible and just ask to be leg kicked and ask to be leg kicked repeatedly. uh, yes, Jones wasn't throwing to the head quite as much as Santos was in some of those rounds, but the leg kicks were there and they were definitely adding up and they were definitely doing a lot of damage. One of the things I thought was interesting is that it was pretty clear in the second round that Thiago Santos injured his left leg, and rather than continually kick at the left leg or try to hunt down that leg, Jones did what I thought was a pretty smart move in attacking the right leg. Because when you do have an injured knee, you're going to put a lot more of a load on the other leg. So if you can take that leg out that's trying to do the work of two legs, like you're really screwing that guy over. Like there's really nothing he can do. So that's something that's worth noting for Thiago Santos is that he had his good leg attack for four good rounds and still made it through, still hobbled his way through, still kept throwing when he had the chance to. And I guess on this judge's scorecard, almost had the win. So we got the scorecards right up here. On the left is Jon Jones. On the right is Thiago Santos. So we'll start with Mike Bell. So Mike Bell had it round 1 for Santos and round 5 for Santos, and then rounds 2 through 4 for Jon Jones. I don't see round 5 for Santos at all. I think round 5 is a perfect example of one where Jon Jones landed more shots. A lot of those were good solid leg kicks. Yes, Thiago Santos went for the head more. It's also worth noting a lot of times when he did go to the head, Jon Jones had his hand up and he was getting out of the way. There were a couple times where you'd like hear the crowd get really excited every time when Santos would throw a flurry. But if you look closely, those shots either were getting blocked or they weren't landing. So Jones did a good job defensively there. So I don't agree with the fifth round going to Thiago Santos. As far as the second round goes, for that to go to Jon Jones, I mean it was pretty close. I guess you could make an argument for it. I thought if you were going to make an argument for another round that Santos had won, that second round would be the round to make that argument for. But it was a pretty close one. The second judge was Derek Cleary. Derek Cleary gave the first round to Thiago Santos, gave the second round to Jon Jones. This is another person who gave round 2 to Jon Jones. Gave the third round to Jones. Gave the fourth round, which is just really odd to me. He gave the fourth round to Thiago Santos and then the fifth round to Jon Jones. So again, I don't see how that fourth round could have possibly gone to Thiago Santos. Now, granted, even though he gave that fourth round to Thiago Santos, he still gave Jones the fight. I'm not sure how he looked at the fourth and fifth and thought that there was a different winner between the two rounds, but that was his call. And then the judge who gave it to Thiago Santos was Junichiro Kamijo. He gave round 1 to Thiago Santos. So all three judges gave round 1 to Thiago Santos. He gave round 2 to Thiago Santos. So that he was the only person to give round 2 to Thiago Santos. He gave round 3 to Jon Jones. Gave round 4 to Thiago Santos. So 2 of the 3 judges gave round 4 to Thiago Santos. And then he gave round 5 to Jon Jones. So in that way, 3 rounds to 2, Thiago Santos. But again, the point I made before, I think, is kind of the point that I'm just going to keep bringing up here is that yes, Thiago Santos was more aggressive in trying to work towards the finish with a strike through, but Jon Jones, those leg kicks really added up. They did a lot of damage, and if you're not going to score those things properly, man, you need to understand what you're watching right there because those leg kicks were really good. They were really damaging. He landed a lot of good shots to the body, threw some to the head that just barely missed from doing some serious damage. So I think these judges need to give a little bit more respect to the kicks that Jon Jones was throwing when they give their scores. But fortunately, the right person won. Jon Jones did earn this win here, and Jon Jones got the win. As far as what happens next, because it went to a split decision and because of the fact that Thiago Santos was injured early, I think there's a good reason to say that Thiago Santos' next fight should be for a title. That being said, if that injury is what we think it is, which is a torn ACL, that thing doesn't heal. A torn ACL isn't the quickest thing to heal. So you would figure that's Thiago Santos. To say he'd be back in 9 months would be very, very optimistic. I think closer to a year would be a little more realistic for him. So if he's not going to be able to fight in a year, you'd figure Jon Jones is probably going to be ready before then. Now, granted, Jon Jones didn't come out of this unscathed either. He took a lot of hard leg kicks, and though he checked some leg kicks from Thiago Santos, it still hurts to check. And there's actually a video here of him coming out of the octagon where he is limping out. So they actually had to help support him and bring him out. So Jones isn't exactly going to be ready to fight again next month, obviously. It's not that he would fight anyway if he was ready to fight next month. But point being, it doesn't look like an instant turnaround is going to be there for him. but you would figure that he'll be ready before Santos is. So there's a good chance that even if the argument is made that Thiago Santos deserves an immediate rematch for him, that Jon Jones would have another fight or two in between that fight. So as far as who's next for Jon Jones, there are people talking about Reyes. I don't know that he's quite ready. I guess you could throw him in there, but I don't really see him doing terribly well. Johnny Walker, he has the win over Misha Serkinov, but I don't know that a big knockout win over Misha Serkinov earns you a title shot, especially when you're as green in your career as Johnny Walker is. So I don't think that he should be getting a title fight quite yet. Not Misha Serkinov. Jan Blachowicz had a really big win over Luke Rockhold. There was talk of Luke Rockhold earning a title shot had he won. Blachowicz wins instead. So maybe you think Blachowicz, with that huge win over Luke Rockhold where he breaks his jaw, maybe he earns himself a title shot. I mean, I guess there's an argument there. You've also got Corey Anderson towards the top of the division. But to me, there isn't one person who stands out above the rest that deserves a title shot right now. For that reason, you would have thought that Thiago Santos would be in a good spot, but that injury is definitely going to keep him out. So if you're looking at Jon Jones, I think his next title fight is going to be against probably, I would think it's probably either going to be Corey Anderson or Jan Blachowicz in all likelihood if he's back in a few months. And then as far as Thiago Santos goes, he has an argument to make once he does come back that he's ready for a shot at Jon Jones if Jon Jones is still the champ. One of the other interesting things that I saw in this fight, where I was looking at the clock, is that I figured when Thiago Santos would come out here, he'd be coming out guns a-blazing and just rushing after Jon Jones. Not only did he not do that, but he was very passive in the first round, at least the first half of the first round. I don't think he landed or even attempted a. I think what it was is he didn't attempt a punch to the head until about 3 minutes into the fight. He was throwing a few leg kicks before then, but he wasn't even that active with those either. I don't even know if he threw his first strike within the first minute. So started off really feeling out Jon Jones, waiting for his opportunity, and to an extent it seemed to work. I mean, he obviously won a couple rounds on every judge's scorecard. He was pretty close. So, and every judge gave him that first round when he had a good knee. So while it was a little bit odd for Thiago Santos not to come after him, I guess in the long run it seems like that wasn't the worst game plan. So if there is a rematch, you'd figure it'd be fairly similar. It's also interesting that later in the rounds, Jones really started to get a good read on him and got to the point where Thiago Santos was starting to get frozen, just trying to watch Jon Jones and figure out what he was going to do so he could get a read on him and counter, but he could never really guess what Jones was going to do to him. So the question would be, was that more of an issue of the knee, or was it that Jon Jones made his reads on Santos, and if they have a rematch that Jones really has his reads now and he's going to just tear him apart? I think there's an argument to be made that if they do have a rematch, that's going to be a lot more one-sided for Jon Jones, and that in the time that he made his adjustments within the fight, he's going to be able to take what he learned and bring that into the rematch if there is a rematch. But either way, I think to most people, you see Santos come that close. You see the flurries that he had where it looked like he was maybe an inch or two away from knocking out Jones. And there's reason when no one else seems to have a good case for why they can put up a challenge for Jon Jones that Thiago Santos makes that case. So hopefully he heals soon from his knee injury. Hopefully it's not as serious as it looked, although I'm fairly certain it is as serious as it looked. And same for Jon Jones. Hopefully he's healthy and he's ready to go again one more time this year. And whether it's a guy like Blachowicz or whether it's someone else, I definitely look forward to seeing him in his next fight.